Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you are new to this channel, my name is Frank Zhu and I'm a college professor teaching sociology, history and philosophy. I'm also an award-winning landscape photographer. In today's video, I want to share with you some of my recent random thoughts in philosophy. I said random because I haven't contemplated them thoroughly. So, please forgive me if you find this video a little bit disorganized. However, I do have a point or an argument to make in this video, and that is, it is a misconception that philosophy is something only for and only done by philosophers. The truth is that every one of us does philosophy. Some do it more persistently and more diligently so that they can develop a theories and write books. As a result, they become famous, so famous that people call them philosophers. However, just because most of us don't write books, it doesn't mean we don't do philosophy. In fact, we do philosophy more frequently than you may think. Now, let me explain and elaborate a little bit on this point of mine. I'd love to hear from you if you have different opinions or criticisms. Imagine yourself lying on the ground on a summer night. You look up into the night sky and you see those little twinkling stars, and you start singing to yourself. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. As you sing, other questions will surely come into your mind. Where did these stars come from? Is there life up there? Where did we human beings come from? How should I live a happy life on this planet? What happens after I die? And so on and so forth. When you wonder about those questions, you are doing philosophy. Of course, I can just as well say that you are doing science or religion. In this sense, human beings have been doing philosophy or science or religion since ancient times. The search for answers to those eternal questions led our ancestors to wonder. And wondering is the root of science and religion and philosophy. Of course, not everyone is a scientist or a religious believer. However, just as I said, we are all philosophers. I'm not talking about philosophers like Plato or Confucius or Immanuel Kant, who are famous because of their books or theories. I'm talking about philosophers like you and me. In fact, we have been asking philosophical questions since we were children. Remember your childhood days when you had so many questions? Why am I here? How can I tell if something is true or not? Does God exist? What is the right thing to do? How do I know? Children can't seem to stop asking such questions, and more as they begin to wonder why things are the way they are. Why does an apple fall down but fire goes up? Why is the sky blue? And so on and so forth. For most of us, what happens is that we only get vague, unsatisfactory answers from our parents. At first, we think grown-ups know better answers and they are just too busy to share their secrets with us. Later, we learn that they may not have the correct answers either. By this time, some people try to shut off the questions because they think they have other things to focus on, such as friends, money, pleasure, and love. This strategy of avoiding big questions seems to work, but only for a while, because those big questions keep coming back one way or another, especially when something startling and unexpected happens. For example, a parent or a friend dies young. A loved one betrays us. We catch ourselves lying to a friend. At times like these, we tend to ask ourselves, what is the purpose of life? If life is so short, does anything really matter? Why is lying wrong? Why are we supposed to do only the right things? Questions like those are big philosophical questions. Knowingly or unknowingly, every time we encounter them, we start searching for answers. Different people will come up with different answers. Now, let us take a closer look at the question about the meaning of life. It seems to be a question that many of us have never asked. But the matter of fact is that every one of us, whether you realize it or not, has formed an idea about the meaning of life. Let me give you some examples. Number one, for some people, life is only a game. Life is meaningful only when you win the game, although not many of them know how they will be awarded. Number two, for some people, life is but a dream. Everything is surreal and temporary. Nothing is real, including life itself. So, it is pointless to ask about the meaning of life. Number three, for some people, life is a journey. The meaning of such a life is to enjoy what you see along the way, regardless of your destination. Number four, well, you get my point. But philosophical questions are not merely about the meaning of life. Philosophy covers every aspect of life, and I can give you a list of more examples. Number one, when you catch yourself lying to a friend, you would ask about morality. Did I just tell a lie? Am I still a good person if I tell a lie? Number two, when you are in difficulty, you may pray for some kind of divine help. Then you would ask about religion. Am I a religious person if I pray for help? What is religion? Number three, if you are worried that a new president is elected and therefore new policies will be implemented, you would ask questions related to social and political philosophy. What is the best form of government? Is democracy the best form? Number four, well, the list goes on and on. But my point is that we human beings are rational animals. Being rational, we can't help but think about everything we see around us and form beliefs and convictions about them. And that is the process of doing philosophy. So, it is not a matter of whether we are philosophers. It is a matter of who is a better philosopher or who is a more famous philosopher. Well, famous philosophers are those people whom we turn to for answers which we think are better than our own. As I pointed out earlier, they become famous because they are more persistent in their search for answers. And as a result of their extensive research and thinking, they are able to put forward theories and write books. Whereas most of us don't write books and therefore remain unknown. Speaking of famous philosophers, many of us will start thinking about ancient Greece. It is true that ancient Greece produced many famous philosophers such as Socrates and Plato. But the ancient Greeks were neither the first nor the only people who did philosophy. Actually, as I pointed out in many of my previous videos on philosophy, the centuries during which Greek culture flowered were also a time of extraordinary spiritual and philosophical awakening in many parts of the world. Buddhism, for example, emerged around the time of Socrates. Although Buddhism is generally regarded as a religion, it is also a way of life, and thus a philosophical tradition. The story of the Buddha, who was the founder of Buddhism, was a good story to show how an ordinary guy became a famous philosopher by asking big questions and spending many years thinking and searching for answers. The Buddha was born as Gautama into a royal family in modern-day Nepal. His father wanted the son to succeed him as the next king and therefore decided to shield him in a palace, away from any misery of normal life. Everything he was given was the best. Before he was 29, Gautama had never seen the outside world, and he had no idea of hunger, poverty, or sickness, which ordinary people were suffering from. However, the curiosity about the outside world drove Gautama to sneak outside the palace one day. Everything he saw shocked him. Very old people with wrinkles, very sick people who couldn't walk, even a corpse on the street. "What is going on in this world? Why are they suffering?" he asked. When his servants told him that what he had seen was the real world, he decided that he couldn't live in the palace anymore. He must find out why people were suffering and how to get away from it all. According to Buddhist traditions, he left his wife and children and went alone to a mountain, starting his spiritual search for answers. On the way, he saw a big tree and got attracted by its beauty. The beautiful tree also got him thinking. Why the natural world was so beautiful, but the human world was full of misery? As he engaged himself in thinking, he fell into a state of meditation, day in and day out. 49 days later, he awoke to realize the truth, which would later become the so-called Four Noble Truths. Number 1, every human being is suffering in this world. Number 2, suffering comes from desires. Number 3, there is an end to suffering. Number 4, there is a path to end suffering. The realization of these Four Noble Truths earned him the title the Buddha. You may have noticed that whenever the Buddha is mentioned, there is always a definite article, the, in front of it. The word Buddha literally means enlightened one or awakened one. In the eyes of his followers, he was neither God nor prophet, but a human being who awakened to find the truth of life, who got the true understanding of the human world. He soon gathered around him a big band of disciples who would learn his messages and in turn taught them as they traveled. For the next 400 years, his teachings were passed down by oral tradition, memorized by his followers one generation after another, until they were written down and became collectively known as Buddhism. That was the story of how Gautama became the Buddha, a famous philosopher and the founder of a religion. The reason I told you this story is to support my argument, which is every person is a philosopher. As long as we put in enough time and efforts, everyone will understand the true meaning of the human world and live on his or her own terms and become a famous philosopher like Socrates, Confucius, or the Buddha. Well, that is all for today. I hope the random thoughts I have shared with you in this video were not too disorganized. And I hope I have made my argument clear. More importantly, I hope my random thoughts have provoked some thoughts of your own. Please do let me know your thoughts. Drop me a comment if you have any. Thank you for watching this video, and I will look forward to seeing you in the next one.